Minnesota, has come up with an issue with a student displaying the Confederate flag in the back window of his pickup truck, and that's raised, of course, some issues as to whether or not the student is showing some sort of disruptive behavior by having the flag in the truck, or actually the decal. It's not an actual flag. I spoke to on a radio call-in show earlier, and I want to thank the radio station that I listen to. They've covered it. Actually, 3 different shows have covered the issue in some angle or not. The station I've been listening to here of late has been KSTP AM 1500, and I want to thank them for kind of giving me the talking point here today. Well, I totally support the school's right to dictate anything that pertains to, their property and their right to control that. And I also say that when you're a high school student, when you're a teenager, while you may think you have a ton of rights, you really don't. You don't have all the rights that an adult has, and I think it should be quick. We should be quick to point that out. That indeed this teenager did not have the same rights that, say, an adult would have. But when it comes to the more broad issue of displaying the Confederate flag, up here in the Great White Tundra, they're a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe they get a little bit more upset about that up here. Of course, the catchphrase that I've heard is, "This isn't the South." There's no reason whatsoever why anybody up in Minnesota should be displaying the flag. And keep in mind that, at least from my personal perspective, now I have taken anybody that's followed my website, theredneckcabbie.com, over time has known that there for a while I did have the Confederate flag as part of my logo. I have since changed that. There was no pressure to do that. I kind of like to try to keep things fresh, and I felt that was the time to make a change, and I went to completely having the American flag in the logo as opposed to including the Confederate flag. That was just a personal choice. And if I were to choose tomorrow again to reincorporate the Confederate flag, that should be my choice. I should be able to do so without any type of without any problems. People, again, get far too get insulted or offended far too easily these days, and that's really the bottom line. Is that nowadays people get offended at a drop of a hat. So, oh my God, somebody's displaying the Confederate flag. Oh God, that's just not right, and I understand. Believe me, I understand the history behind the Confederate flag. To me, though, that flag represents a lot more than just the geographical South. Of course, I didn't take the moniker of the redneck cabbie by being a hip urban style dude. I am as advertised, and probably more of a traditional redneck than what you see the stereotype these days. The beer swilling NASCAR maniac, trailer trash type. I am just a simple guy that loves the country slow-paced way of life, which is more prevalent in the South than it is up here in the northern part of the country. And I do feel that because of that, I feel that I have every right to display a Confederate flag if I choose to. Now, here again, I own a flag. I don't display it in my apartment anywhere. I don't go overboard. I mean, there is something to be said about trying to get purposely inciting a riot. I live in an apartment building in the middle of the city. I don't want to draw that much attention to myself to turn around and try to put up a Confederate flag. I don't have anything on my vehicles because, quite frankly, I don't want my vehicles vandalized. And I've seen that happen before. I've seen people that have had Confederate flags in their decals in their windows, back windows. I've seen those windows either shot out or rocks thrown at them or whatnot. So, I mean, there's no sense in inciting a riot. But I think that if somebody, you can't just automatically assume because somebody has a Confederate flag, a decal in their window, that automatically they're a racist. Get to know the person first. People are still individuals, and people always like something to identify with. And I think there are a lot of, there's a lot of white people who identify with the Southern culture, even if they haven't spent a day of their life in the South. Probably have no idea what it's like to live in the South. The South, in the country, in the South, it's a beautiful area. I mean, if you've gone to some of the areas that I've gone to in the South, it is beautiful country down there. But to tell you the truth, the city life down there is horrible in the South. And I don't know that I'd ever want to live. I liked Little Rock, but I don't know that I'd ever want to go back there and live. I could never picture myself living in Atlanta or any of those Montgomery, Alabama, or any of those other larger cities down in the South, just because, quite frankly, they are not as progressive down there, and they're not as the cities, quite frankly, there's a higher rate of crime in those southern cities. I mean, look at New Orleans. Look at what happened to cities surrounding New Orleans after Katrina. Need I say more in that realm? We are, whether you want to believe it or not, we are a segregated society as it is. I mean, white people have things they identify with, black people have things they identify with, Mexicans, I mean, there's nothing for, excuse me, there's nothing for anybody of Hispanic heritage to fly a Mexican flag, even if they've never lived in Mexico. And nobody seems to really get overly upset about that. And yes, this country has a history of have gone to war with Mexico. So, I mean, let's don't get overly wrapped up in the symbolism here, or try to make more out of a situation than it really is. I mean, you don't see any of these people that have Confederate flag decals in their windows. You don't see them riding around or being card-carrying members of the Ku Klux Klan or anything like that. They are probably of less of a threat to any way of life than anybody else in this country. So I've rambled enough. That's all I have for that right now. This is John Shannon, proud to call myself the Redneck Cabbie.